Hey, good morning. What? No, 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 no. Not good morning. Great morning. I woke up 5 a.m. I'm like, I'm going back to bed, but not before I scroll Twitter and stuff. So I was awake enough to do that. And I'm glad I did. Although I couldn't fall back to sleep though. I did. Cody Bellinger. I knew he was going to sign with the Cubs. I just knew it. Like when? So he signed a deal, 3 years, $80 million, but there's like an opt-out, player opt-out option after each year. So, hey, I like it. This is the perfect deal for the Cubs because my biggest fear with signing him to a max, they don't have super max contracts in baseball, but, a huge contract, a 7-year, long deal when you don't know which Cody Bellinger you're going to get. Are you going to get last year's Cody Bellinger, or will you get 2021 and 2022 Cody Bellinger? And you put 7 years down, 200 mil, and you get not good Cody Bellinger, you just set your franchise back. So this is the best option for both the team and the player. If the player performs and plays like last year, okay, he can opt out and I'm testing the market again. If he doesn't, he's like, I'm taking your money, and the Cubs be like, okay, hopefully you play better this year. So I like it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So Cody Bellinger back with the Chicago Cubs. I'm excited for that. That was a great way to wake up this morning. It's a good weekend. It's a great weekend. It's a great weekend. The Madison Card Show was a huge, huge success. I was concerned. With the third room. I did the third room once before, and there was about a dozen tables in there. This time there were 40. And I'm like, man, I hope there's people. There were times during the morning yesterday, you couldn't get more. If the fire marshal came, probably would have said, no, get people out of here. You couldn't get into that room. Now, people upstairs in the big ballroom upstairs, and then the other ballroom on the first floor, like, I think there were less people here. I'm like, there were 40 extra tables this time. There was an extra ballroom. It may have looked less people, but I think there might have been actually more people. And it's hard to take account. We have 2 entrances, 3 ballrooms, the hallway. So it's hard to keep track. But I would just guess based on, and I was walking around. I didn't put as many steps in as I expected. I felt like I did. But when I'm doing like 2,000 steps a day, maybe 3,000, and then I do 15,000, it's like, whew, I'm tired. So I was walking from room to room, and it's like, okay, there's some decent. At one point, like in the afternoon, I walked into that new ballroom and it was still full. There was probably more people in that room than there was upstairs. And I think another reason for that, possibly, that room had like all of the new dealers. Like most of the dealers in that room were either first timers or semi-regular, like not barely semi-regulars. Like I think a few dealers, Kurt, who had some awesome tickets. Kurt was in that room, and he set up once before. Dog Pound Breaks were in that room. They set up last month. John from Cards in the Attic set up there. He used to be a regular, but then opened a shop. Now he's going to be more available to do shows. Because now he doesn't have a shop. He still has the shop, but it's like by appointment. Who else was? Jose was in there, and he was kind of a late addition. Like he reached out to me late, so I had to put him in there. A couple other guys, Anthony and Jordan, have done a couple shows. Andrew was in there Fredo and Nikki were in there. So there were some familiar faces, but for the most part, most of that room was new dealers. So yeah, it was a really good show. I did not set up. I still had to turn, quite a few dealers away. It's a good thing I did. So I think I overextended myself. I don't think I did overextend myself. And if I do a third room next month, which I probably will, and I did have somebody, a local dealer say, if you need help setting up, and I'm like, yes. Sometimes we're too proud to admit, and I am not too proud to admit, I don't change my own oil, and I'm not too proud to admit I overextended myself, and that's why I sound a little hoarse, and I just started going live at 5 minutes ago. I was tired. Because I went in. So here's kind of, and this isn't me crying. It is. I guess I am whining. But it's, I put it on myself. I did the live sale on Thursday night. I shouldn't have done that. So Friday I was catching up on eBay. I was getting those shipped out. It was much smoother, although I think we did less boxes on the Thursday night sale, but it was still like, it does take a little longer to get those correctly packaged and labeled, and they're heavier. So I think I made 2 trips to the post office on Friday. Went to the Sheraton in the afternoon to make sure, it was set up the way they set it up. I use all of their tables, and then I bring my own tables in. It was also dog show weekend. Not only was there a dog show across the street, state wrestling was in town, the high school wrestling tournament, and a fishing show, which apparently is a really big fishing show. That was all going on across. So that area was pretty bad. So parking was probably a bitch. So that's something. It's like, what can I do? Nothing. I woke up. This is when I think the point when I realized I overextended myself was when I woke up at 2:30 in like a sweat, thinking about, oh God, I need to message these dealers because they're in a new spot, or shit, what's the parking situation going to be? And even as I got even more stressed out when I took my McDonald's breakfast burrito and coffee in the parking lot, and there's like 25 open parking spots in the entire lot at 5:30 Saturday morning. I'm like, oh, this has disaster. Remember my dream the other day of a train derailment? It was it might have been a premonition. Fortunately, the dogs, like at 5:30, the dog show people were already getting set to leave and go across the street. Now, even though it's across the street, it was like 13 degrees yesterday morning. It was freaking cold. Plus, they have like these vans with their dogs, some small dogs, some big dogs, lots of dogs. So fortunately, like they, were leaving. So parking was crazy. Somebody told me they had to park in the Holiday Inn parking lot next door, which is not next door. It's like across the giant parking lot at the Sheraton. So unfortunately, there's nothing the only thing I could do is change venues, and that would be more expensive for you and I. That would be, I would have to find a venue, and one with a bigger parking lot and big space. So we're just left to our own devices. So I don't know if anybody has a suggestion that's been here to the show, if anybody has any parking suggestions. Getting a close parking spot, that's just out of the realm, but getting a parking spot, that's kind of that's the answer I'm looking for. But I don't think I didn't have, and we'll see the next couple days, there might be some complaints on Facebook. So far, there weren't really any complaint. Like once the show started, I don't think there were many outside, just some small things here and there. There really wasn't any. Well, there was some complaint. It was really hot upstairs, but I knew it was going to be just based on like we got the mezzanine. It gets cold down in the lobby, and the mezzanine obviously is open, so the heat rises and it gets super hot up there. And there's just no way around that unless they build a wall, and they're not going to build a wall. So, yeah, outside of that, there wasn't, I put a security camera, which I just kind of, that was on a whim. So in the upstairs in the Capitol Ballroom, when I went to the Sheraton on Friday afternoon to make sure the tables are laid out and to put name tags on those tables. There's in the middle of the ballroom upstairs, there's like a shelf up top. And I'm like, I can put a camera up there. And there's an outlet right below it. I'm like, So this was Friday afternoon. I'm like, I'm going to swing by Best Buy just to see if there are any options. I had no plans until light bulb. Now, every card show has theft issues. Fortunately, we don't have a terrible rash of thefts, but there's usually like, and I wouldn't even say every month there's a theft, but there probably is. Like maybe people don't even realize it, but that's going to happen at every show. And I talked to Tony from Oak Creek, and he's had issues with it. The National, theft is terrible at the National. Theft is terrible at every card show. And it seems like the bigger the show, the more theft occurs. And the National, look at what the National has. The security guards everywhere, and it still happens. Tony at Oak Creek hires a security guard. That still happens. You have to be vigilant. Other dealers have to be vigilant, have to watch over, so it's everything helps, when there is theft, I try to, I take pictures and video, like, get a description just so I know in the future, like, I had somebody, hey, keep an eye on this person, and just kind of tail them a little bit. But you can't follow somebody around for an entire day, just in case. So I did go to Best Buy, and I had no idea where to start. So I started with the cameras, and didn't find any there. I went over to the computer section, and there's like 50 Best Buy employees. How does Best Buy stay in business? They have like 50 employees standing around. And the times that you need help, the time that I need somebody to help me. And they're just like, there's like 3 dudes, like just standing around, like talking to it, man. Not even like looking at customers. But when I know exactly what I want, I'm going in for a blah, blah, blah. And I know exactly where it's at. I beeline to that section, and I've got 4 Best Buy employees. Hey, can I help you? Hey, have you been helped yet? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm good. When I'm like looking around, when I look like I'm lost, nobody helps. And there's 50 freaking employees at Best Buy. So I'm walking around. Nobody helps me in the camera section. As I walk, like, looking lost, 3 dudes in Best Buy shirts just talking about what they had for lunch. So I go over to the computer section. Finally, somebody helps. And so I find the like webcams. And so I explain what I'm doing. I'm like, I kind of want like a security cam for an event. I'm only going to use it like once a month. I don't need, it's not really, he's like, well, you're going to be live streaming. I'm like, no, it's just for security. And he goes, oh, okay. So you're probably going to want to go to the home security section. I'm like, I never even thought of that. I am an idiot looking dumb walking around Best Buy. So he escorts me to the home security section, tells the home security guy exactly what I'm looking for. So, and here's the sign that you're the husband of a realtor. The home security guy is like showing me, he's like, this was what I have at home. He's like, I can actually show you how it works. And so he like shows me his phone. I'm like, are you in do you live in a Viridian neighborhood? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, I can tell. I can tell by the houses. That's a Viridian neighborhood. I told my wife that, and she's like, well, you're married to a realtor when. So I'm like, okay, it's $80. And I'm like, this is perfect. And I could probably no, because it's not plugged in. So 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 when I went back to the Sheraton, so I bought the security camera. I went back to the Sheraton Friday night, and with all 20, by the way, 19 tables. I brought 19 tables, and I can barely fit. I mean, I could not see out of. I should have been pulled over because my rear view mirror, in car rear view mirror, like it's just all you see is tables. The front seat is piled with boxes that I bought, which I'll get into. And on top of that, I have my signs in like the cardboard from the windshield to the back seat. So I can't see my rear view mirror. I can't see, like, if I'm on the belt line and I want to switch lanes, I can't look out behind me just to see if there's somebody in my blind spot. So it was dicey, a little bit dicey. It's a good thing it's only like a 10-minute drive. So 19 tables and signage and stands, they can all fit in one shebang. So I went back on Friday night with tables in tow, and got into the new ballroom. And well, actually earlier in the day I checked it out and had my tape measure and my painter's tape. I felt like a man. I felt like a guy who could change his own oil on Friday afternoon with my tape measure and painter's tape, which is only until Friday had been used for baseball cards. I'm on my hands and knees, mapping things out, looking like, okay, I can fit X amount of tables in here. That's 3 more than what I have booked. Perfect. Nay. That ended up not being the case. I think I don't know what happened, but there ended up not being enough room. And so one guy who booked 2 tables, fortunately I had 1 no-show. And fortunately where he was at was a perfect spot where we could squeeze a second table in. And so I was able to put them up there. So the no-show actually really helped. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for not showing up, Dan. And and I forgot, Kurt, my buddy Kurt, who booked with me last month, and I could have swore I put him on the spreadsheet. Maybe I did, and it ended up somehow fat fingered it, but he was not on my list. And I made things, fortunately, upstairs. I'm like, okay, I've got a couple options. I'm like, I can go see if Mike and John from Rockford brought an extra. I had them bring in one of their own tables. Like, I'll see if they brought an extra table. If they didn't, I'm going to look at a couple closets. I know one closet doesn't have any tables. I know actually two of the 3 closets don't have extra tables. So if that's not the case, are you okay with a big circular ballroom table? And he's like, yeah, whatever works. I'm like, okay, we'll make it work. So Mike and John only brought the 1 table. So I'm like, okay. So I look in the closet. There's tables, but they're like the long, skinny ones. But there's 2, and those are the ones you squeeze together. So I'm like, okay, what I can do is I can put these, because I have like the tables I bring in are like spread out. There's a couple in the upstairs ballroom. There's a bunch in the mezzanine, and there was a bunch in the state and a few in the Williamson ballroom. So I'm like, okay, if I can move these tables and just do a switcheroo, because mine are all bifolds with a handle. So it's super easy to carry around. So these damn long wood, and there's 2 of them, are a pain. So if I can just get these over here with a tablecloth, and then I can use the bifold, I can just run the bifold downstairs. Perfect. Everything worked out, but it was very stressful from like Wednesday through Saturday, most of Saturday morning until about 10 o'clock. That's when it's like, am I going to do this again? 3 rooms again. So not on my own. So I will ask for help. So that was set up. The camera worked. So it was a nice addition. Now the problem, I did have one theft report, and it was in the downstairs Williamson ballroom. And I'm looking around when he told me, and I told a couple other guys, hey, be on the lookout. And I just don't know. I'll have to figure out how to get a camera in that room, like mounted. Like there's no upstairs. It was easy. Like, oh, there's a shelf and there's a plug-in. Little trickier in that room. So I may just reach out to my contacts and be like, hey, do you have any ideas on how I could put a camera in here when I do the shows? So yeah. So it was packed with dealers, packed with customers, buyers, sellers, traders. Oh my. It's funny, last month at the show, it was so busy that I went the whole day not seeing a couple people. In fact, one guy I had a box for, Mike, had a box for him, and I didn't even see him all day. I saw him multiple times yesterday. Brian, Offbeat All-Stars, who's in the chat, Brian was at the show. We were texting, and I'm like, I'm just all over. Like, I was not in one place. I was just all over. So I didn't even see him. My buddy Adam, who's Vil Graphs on Twitter and Instagram, I knew he was coming. And I didn't see him. And I even at one point, I'm like, man, I wonder if Vil Graphs, he must not have made it today. At 2:30, I saw him as I was walking from the State Street Ballroom through the lobby. I see him. And I'm like, dude, did you just get here? He's like, I've been here since 8:30. I'm like, oh, shit. So it didn't see Brian, didn't see Offbeat All-Stars. It was wild. But speaking of friends, what really made my day, and when I started the Madison Card Show, it was basically, it was something for me. I wanted to create something that I liked, because we had a card show in town, but there wasn't room. There wasn't room to like dig in boxes, and it just wasn't set up to a show that I would want. And that's kind of what I wanted to create, and kind of like a hangout for us nerds that love baseball cards, memorabilia, Pokemon, whatever. Just create a space where we can all just geek out on stuff for the entire day. And so there's a thread from Ripping One-Handed, my buddy Ryan, who actually gave me this hat at a show like last year, came to the Madison Card Show on a whim. I want to share his Twitter thread that he posted yesterday, because it honestly brought a tear to my eye. The impact that the show can have on people, collectors. So he had a thread. He says, a thread that might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I'm a storyteller, and this is my story from today's visit to the Madison Card Show. I actually did not intend to go today, but I have breakfast every Saturday morning at a coffee shop near the Sheraton where it's held. And I wanted to support my friend, 1 Million Cubs, who I hadn't seen in a while. I had a lot on my plate for the day, so my plan was just to pop in, find Bo, and say hi, make a quick round, and head home to get to work on my extensive to-do list. First thing I noticed was that the parking lot was packed. Show started at 9, and I got there at 9:15. People were already parking on the street. I managed to find a spot far from the entrance, and he was. I saw where he parked way in the back, and made my way into the smallest of the 3 rooms. It was packed. Lots of Pokemon in this space. And then I saw it. Within about a minute, I saw a card I wanted. Out of my price range, though. Dang. We'll come back to it, though. Made my way to the other room, and the smell of smoke hit me, and the sounds of deals and crowding of dudes rifling through boxes started to get to me. I just don't think this is for me, I thought. It's just too much. Then I saw Bo and shook his hand and was genuinely happy for him. He does such a great job, and it's amazing to see how much it's grown. Then I made my way upstairs to the biggest space. Made my way around and then stopped at a table and grabbed a couple random soccer cards. Asked the guy if he'd do $10, and he agreed. He asked if I lost my arm, and I told him I was born with it missing below the elbow. He shared that his son was born with spina bifida, and that he was at a wheelchair basketball tournament, and how much he taught them about disability, and I shared about my book, Different is Awesome, and how I visit schools, leading assemblies, helping kids accept themselves and others just as they are. We both talked about our faith and how it plays a role in our lives. And then right there in the midst of hundreds of people shuffling around cards, he reached out, put his hand on my shoulder, and prayed for me. And damn if that wasn't exactly what I needed. Thanks, John. John's an awesome dealer. But it gets better, funnier at least. At that point, I left because I was like, obviously, that was why I was supposed to go there. And I'm so not a God moment kind of guy. My wife was laughing her ass off when I told her this story. But remember that card. So they were asking $100. I thought I could get them to 75. I went home and grabbed 4 1,000 count boxes of commons, Star Wars, Garbage Pail Kids, Stranger Things, etc., and a few other things. My goal was to leave with that card and no boxes and spend no money. A lofty goal. I walk in and they still have the card. Yes, they don't do a deal, so I have to start my mission. Thankfully, I see Bo again, explain what I'm doing, and you guys, no joke, it was a piece of cake. Within 10 minutes, I sold everything to 3 different vendors he directed me to. Headed back to the vendor with the card I wanted and traded a mix of cash, some random Star Wars autos, and a Marvel Flair Commons for this bad boy. Yes, I'm a child, and it's the C3PO boner card. Love that card. And I'm not even a Star Wars fan, and I love that card. So there it is. Got prayed for and then bought a card with a C3PO boner on it. I'm a complex person. Aren't we all, though? Seriously. The truth is that the Madison Card Show is great for business for a ton of people, I'm sure. But for me, it's the relationships. So how cool is that? And and he adds, I'm sure it's both for most people. In fact, I totally forgot to mention that as soon as I was done with John, I looked up and saw my friend Offbeat All-Stars, who I haven't seen in ages. It was so nice to catch up. Anyway, hope you all have a great weekend. Thanks, 1 million Cubs. Thank you, Ryan. I really, truly appreciate it. And that's what it all brought it back. Like, here I am whining about how much work that I had to do because I'm lazy. And that just brought it full circle. Like, man, this is why. That's what I'm doing it for. And by the way, I don't know if Ryan's listening, but I know Brian's in here. Ryan will have to come over when we do another sale. Actually, let's not do it for a sale. I don't want to put you guys to work. We'll have to do a rip night again. So like coming out, like we kind of started our friendship like during the pandemic. Like, hey, we're 3 nerds that love baseball cards. And we couldn't really go out and do things. So we did a rip night at my house. I think it was Bowman Mega Boxes. So we'll have to do that again. So let's go to the chat and we'll talk a little more Madison Card Show. I'll show you some of my pickups. Uncle Rich says, what a day for Bo. Oh, and episode 23 popped up into my feed today. 23. I wonder what was going on. I don't even want to go back and watch episode 23. Dave, what's up? Good morning. Tea Timer, top of the morning to you. Raphael's in the house. Good morning. Royals 417. What's happening? East Coast Tom is here. He was dealing. I met Tom's wife. We had, I didn't get a chance to talk to him much post-show, but we had a nice group after the show, had a couple of drinks, had a burger. Mike and John, Jeremy, Bronco, and Showtime, and East Coast Tom, we all hung out in the bar area after the show. If any dealers are watching, if you want to hang out, like that's kind of my new thing, like, because I don't eat lunch. In fact, it was like 2:00 and I'm like, I need to eat something. I always bring like a protein bar. So if anybody wants to just hang out after the show, the spotted cows tasted really good yesterday. It's like, I was like waiting for that. I'm like, I need a nap, but I need a beer. Art, what's going on? It's a great morning for me. Pulled a Connor Bedard OPG retro rookie card from a Target hanger last night. Hangers are bangers. My buddy Mark bought 1 or 2 OPG hobby boxes at the show yesterday from Tom at Real Breaks. And his daughter I think it was like a family rip night. And his 8-year-old daughter pulled like the case hit Connor Bedard, maybe it's the rookie retro card, but something that's like the odds were like 1 in 800 packs or 900 packs. Mikey, what's going on? Yeah, I think I shared that I'd probably go on live at 9, and yeah, I probably would have slept in a little more, but was tired. Drama every year, says Tea Timer. Talking baseball and Boris. Matt Chapman's still unsigned. Blake Snell is still unsigned, and I think there's one other kind of. Was it JD Martinez? Somebody else is, maybe he did sign, but I think there's 3 like bigger free agents still out there. Bob, what's going on? Thank you. Looking forward to getting a table again soon. Absolutely. Would be happy to have you back. Donald, good morning. Flawed Thinkers in the house. What's happening? Max says the show was good yesterday. Happy for you to be able to open another room. Definitely felt the impact as a dealer upstairs. And I think, yeah, that's just the more tables, the money, you know, ideally in a perfect scenario, ideally it's more tables brings in more people. But in reality, I think there's a balance. Like, you know, is there going to be, you know, is that money going to be replaced by the, you know, additional dealers and additional customers? I know there was mixed results. You know, I heard a couple dealers say, yeah, it wasn't as good as last month. And that could be for a variety of reasons. I know some dealers killed it and made lots of money. So sometimes all the money just goes to, you know, one dealer. I don't know if there was any because the Cardboard Bros were in Dallas at Collecticon, so that's 3 tables down. Adrian had 2 tables; he was not there, so that's 5 Pokemon tables. There might have been no net gain on, because Max is a Pokemon guy. There might have been no net gain. It might have been 0 net gain on Pokemon. I'm trying to think, because in that 3rd room, I'm trying to think of who were the Pokemon guys. Like Andrew was back and he had 2 tables. Fredo and Nikki were in that room, but they've been setting up in the Williamson ballroom the past couple months. I'm trying to think of who else. Oh, Nick had 3 tables, and I think it was, well, he has sports cards, but I think he had 2 of the 3 tables were Pokemon. Trying to think, was there any? Dustin had 1 additional table. Well, he has mostly sports cards. So I bet there was the same amount of Pokemon dealer tables this month as there was last month. Let's see. Max says I was downstairs around 9, overheard the guy that took 2 spots, but thought it was 3 tables. Well, actually, no, they thought it was 4 tables. Thought it was 4 tables. They thought a space was 2 tables. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. Mikey said stuff is moving at $1 in my store. There's some great deals. There you go. Brian, good morning. No changes needed for the show. I've never heard anybody complain about parking. I've heard it on occasion, and it's usually when there's events like this, which there's just kind of no way around it. But yeah, it's very low on the list of things that could be improved upon or changed. It's certainly not something that I'm going to change venues over. I mean, look at the Google map it, and it's a giant parking lot. I get it sucks if you have to walk a long way, but it is what it is. Jamie, what's going on? Good morning. At least it's free parking. You know, the people often say you need to go across the street. It's like, it's not. I know how much it costs. And most importantly, you have to pay $8 parking. And that's not a promoter. Like, that's to the Alliant Energy Center. So do you want to go to a one-day show and pay $8 to park? Hey, you get a parking, and you still might have to park a long way away. So it's just we just got to deal with what we have. We got to be happy for what we have. JG, what's up? Best in Show, underrated movie for the dog show people. It's a great movie. So Friday night, so kind of so I've kind of got like a routine, and I like to support the Sheraton because they bend over backwards for me. So I like to have a burger and a beer. So Friday night when I go to take my tables, I start with dinner, and then I fuel up. so I can get the table set up. So I'm sitting there and it's packed. The lobby's packed. And I'm sitting at the bar having a burger, having a beer, and a lady sits down next to me, and she's talking to the bartender and talking about my show, talking about the dog show, and she's a professional dog handler. And I'm like, I didn't know there was such a thing. I just assumed at dog shows, like the people that like walk the dogs like at the show, and that's not like the term, it's handling. So I'm like, oh, so you walk the dogs? And she's like, what do you mean I walk the dogs? And I'm like at the show. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm a handler. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I wanted to bring up Best in Show, the movie. I'm like, so is it real? Because here's why. Somehow it went down like it's very political. Like dog shows can be very political. And she travels all over the country handling dogs at dog shows. And I'm like, and I wanted to, when she talked about the politics of dog shows, I'm like, oh, so it's like Best in Show. But I didn't have a chance. And I'm like, so how do you get started in something like that? Like, and I think it's like with anything, sometimes it just happens. Like most people don't have like a life ambition to be a dog handler or maybe sell baseball cards, but you get into it like, somehow there was an interest. Like what inspired me to collect baseball cards in the first place? There's, maybe it's a cousin, a brother, or, whatever. And she had a neighbor who was a professional dog handler. And so she like started by helping her as like in 11, like, she's like, yeah, I started when I was 11 years old. I'm like, that's amazing. So yeah, and dogs everywhere. I loved it. Big dogs, little dogs, barking dogs. It was fun. Brian, good morning. Happy Belly Day. Cody Bellinger with the Cubs. Max drove home yesterday with no rear view mirror. Bought too much. Oops. There you go. It's a good problem to have. Kyle says, good morning. Really enjoyed the Ryan Hack story about the Madison card show. Thank you. Yes, it was a great story. Kurt, what's going on? Good morning. I appreciate you, and I apologize immensely for my oversight. Santiago, what's up? Sorry to cut you off, but the Cubbies are looking solid so far. Absolutely. John, what's up? Do you know if there's a way to exclude some of your items from my buy 7, get 25% off promo? I learned the hard way yesterday that I need to do that with higher ticket items. Yeah, so there is a way. You have to, so you can't do a store-wide sale. So you have to make exclusions. So when you go in to create the coupon or the sale, you have to create exclusions based on whatever factors you want to exclude. So yes, there is a way. I don't think you can go in at, like, if you set a store-wide, like, I don't think there's a way to store-wide. Maybe there is. And that might be at the start. I don't think once you have it set up, I don't think there's a way to edit it without just starting a new sale. So yes, there is a way to do that. I also make sure when I price things to kind of keep that in mind and make sure, like, if I do a special one-off sale, it's like, okay, I want to make sure like I'm not losing money if I do 50%, whatever it is, if it's 50% off, 5 items, like, okay, what if somebody buys dollar cards and they buy like 15 dollar cards, or getting them for 50 cents? I'm going to ship those bubble mailers. So it's like $7.50. Do I really want to, because now my margins are really like, it's still, you still make a profit, but the margins are super slim because it's $7.50 minus fees, minus could be $4.50. You don't know where you're shipping it to. Could be up to like $4.50. Then all of a sudden you're making barely anything. Max says Ryan's a good dude. Had a nice talk with him the first time he set up, and always make sure to say hi when I get to walk around. He's an awesome dude. Yeah. Kyle says, my wife even laughed about Ryan's story, and normally she rolls her eyes at me regarding anything cards. John says, in addition to what I said my last message, I sold 13 items via auction yesterday. Unfortunately, all of them use the 25% off, which really sucks. Oh, yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, so you're gonna maybe exclude auctions, but you have to start that at the. You're probably just gonna have to delete whatever you have and start from scratch and exclude auctions or exclude whatever items you don't want to be included in that. I am not getting KFC pizza. I don't even get KFC chicken. I couldn't tell you the last time I had KFC chicken because I have Popeyes and I love Popeyes. So if I get fried chicken, I'm either doing Popeyes fried chicken or like a small town restaurant because they seem to have the best fried chicken. So I'm certainly not getting pizza from KFC. Episode 23 was you getting in some 2020 Topps Archives cards, 7 Cubs. Oh, cool. Wow, that's going way back. And describing how you stalked the retail big box card delivery guy. So yeah, that would have been, was I stalking him out for archives? I don't know. Christian, good morning. Went to my local show yesterday. Only spent $1. I'm hyper focused on my want list. That is hyper focused. Red Light 34, what's up? Big boy, go Braves, he says. Red Light says, hit the like button. Love a liquid lunch. Art says, I think you're thinking of the marquee rookie 3D Bedard. If so, huge hit, $1,000 to $1,500 card right there. Let me see. I can tell you what it is. Let's see. Where are we at? Is this the right chat? It's the marquee. Oh, maybe it is the 3D. Come on. Yeah, it is the 3D. Marquee rookie 3D. 1 in 864 packs. That's a huge hit. I think he only paid like $100 for that box. Is this show live? It's not Memorex. Did you buy any? Did I buy any? Did I buy any cards? I did. I bought cards. I don't know what you're referring to in any, but I did buy cards. Let's show you what I bought. I did not have this. So this is my first Shota Imanaga card. Ross, one of my dealers, he's like, hey, you're a Cubs fan. I'm like, I am. He's like, you have one of these? I'm like, no, not yet. So I got that for $5. Heck yeah. Let's see. I'll share that. I put Shua was in a room he set up for the first time in quite a while. He had like $1 box of basically the stuff that I was selling for $1 in auto. And the first one I found was the new Cubs bench coach, Ryan Flaherty, Team USA auto, numbered out of 249. I'm like, hey, sweet, for $1. There was a Justin Bohr Elite Extra Edition out of 784. Andrew Kashner, who we traded to the Padres for Anthony Rizzo, numbered out of 685. And Wellington Castillo, Elite Extra Edition out of 1319. So I got those for $1 a piece. My best deal, though, biggest deal of the day for my PC, for my Cubs, one of my dealers said, hey, I think I've got something you might be interested in. I'm like, okay. And he flashes this bad boy. Kerry Wood, rookie year materials. Timeless treasures, authentic game-worn jersey. And this is numbered 5 out of 5. Now, I wonder if the jersey certificate of authenticity, the enclosed piece of jersey was cut from an authentic jersey personally worn by Kerry Wood in an official Major League Baseball game. The authentic game-worn jersey was obtained and guaranteed by Donruss Playoff. So this card is from 2005. I'm not sure if it's actually from 1998, but it's also inscribed 98 Rookie of the Year, 5 out of 5. The guy, he actually told me the story before he sold me the card. He goes, I got this at a rummage sale. He's like, I paid a ridiculous price. What would you think a ridiculous price on this is? And I'm like, $20. And he goes, 5. I paid $5. I'm like, what? He goes, I told the guy it's worth a lot more than that. And he's like, it's $5. So I paid $5 and I knew you would probably be interested in it. I'm like, okay. He's like, looking at comps, I think it's probably around, I don't know, like $100 maybe. I'm like, okay. And he's like, but I'll give you a deal. I'm like, all right. I'm like, I'll give you 80 for it. He's like, deal. So I got this for $80. Very happy. I think he's very happy. I mean, he made $75 on it. And I've got a really cool piece to add to my Kerry Wood collection. So thank you. That was an awesome pick. And then he threw in, he's like, hey, I'll throw in this Chris Bryant relic card. I'm like, hey, sweet. Thank you. So those were my Cubs. The biggest buy of the day is still in my car. I got to bring it down. I'm excited. I flipped through, but Mike, who chats every once in a while, and he mentioned in the chat the other day, he's like, hey, I've got some Bowman you might be interested in. It's probably, what did I come up? The number that I figured, it's probably between 12 and 15,000 cards. That's kind of what, when I was flipping through, kind of what I came up to, you know, on the probably the low end, might be, you know, realistically could be anywhere from like 13 to 18,000. So somewhere in there, that's what the math I wanted to run on it. After I flipped through to see what was in there, and 5 boxes, 5 monster boxes. Well, I think four rows and like a 3 row maybe. And there's some like autos and a lot of like, from what I saw, a lot of like stuff that I'll list on eBay for $5 to $10. Maybe some stuff that might be worth more. But from everything I saw, it's like $5 to $10. And so I rifle through everything. I kind of have a price in mind based on, okay, there's a lot of good stuff in here, but it's going to be a grind to get it all, you know, listed and sold and, you know, shipped and all that. So it is going to take some time to move. So I asked him, I'm like, what's your price? And so he gave me a price, and it was a little higher than what I, you know, was wanting to go. And so my price in mind, like my range was 800 to 1,000. Like 1,000 was kind of the max I wanted to pay. And he said 15. So I said I did the math, and I did the math on $1,000, and I feel that's, you know, very fair for both of us. And I said 1,000. He's like, deal. So thank you, Mike. Got a good deal, and he got a good deal. I got a good deal. So that stuff, I'll start loading that into my eBay store probably this week. I am going to spring training in 2 weeks. So I'm going to try to get a bunch of good stuff listed just to try to boost my sales before I leave, because I'll be gone for 8 days. So that's what I purchased. So made some good deals. Let's see, where are we at? Orlando, what's going on? Good morning. Brian's in for another rip party. What are we ripping? Well, who knows? Whatever releases. Hey, maybe another Bowman rip party when it comes out in April, because April's probably the next time I'll be able to. I want to take the next couple weeks to just gather my bearings and get ready for spring training. When I come back from spring training, I need to get ready for the card show for March 30th. And so sometime in April. I'll do another YouTube live sale in April. And so April's kind of when I'm thinking. Americans paid $8 for soda at movie theaters for years. They're not as smart as you think. Chris says, you know how you want the weather to be average on show day. Not bad, but not great. Exactly. It was sunny and almost 60 degrees in Portland yesterday, and the mall show attendance was way down. Yeah, that's surprising. I mean, every show that I've seen, like I haven't seen, for the most part, like poorly attended shows. So I wonder if that was just poor promoting on their part. Is that normal? I don't know. Max says they thought 4 tables. Jesus, first time much. James, go early. Lots of good parking. There you go. James gets there. James might beat me there. Joe says most recent PSA submission just posted 21 out of 24 PSA tags. Bronco, what's up? Made an interesting deal yesterday. Traded a Shohei Ohtani rookie card for a parking spot, fishing rod, and a chihuahua that was graded a PSA 9. I actually thought you were serious until I saw the fishing rod. I'm like, I don't think Bronco would trade for a fishing rod. But then the chihuahua. Okay, Bronco's making jokes this morning. Max says, almost ran 2 little rats over yesterday because they wouldn't move. Tried to hit the one, but the owner pulled it out of the way of my cart. Merle says, my promos are usually for cards under $5. My car thought about headed east to drive to the show. I stayed in town and may have got a real nice lot of cards and slabs, or I may have gotten scammed. I guess we will find out Tuesday. Well, good. Best wishes to Merle. Hopefully that turns out for you. Either way, it was exciting. There you go. At least you got some entertainment. Low Roller says, I remember you were going to open hockey box in your channel. No, you remembered wrong. You misremembered. I watched the first half inning of that Illinois State softball championship, and you only referred to them as the Princes. Yes, because I refused to call them the Lady Princes. What was really interesting is that starting pitcher had something like 37 strikeouts in the previous game. If that was ball, was that must have been Hardin Calhoun. She broke the record. So I was a part. The fun thing, and I don't know how many people are interested in softball, but I really gained a huge appreciation for the sport of softball. And it became like one of my favorite sports to broadcast. And I got to broadcast some amazing performances. My first state finals that I did, Katie Bertelson pitched for the United Red Storm, and she was just a standout from like her freshman year. And she set the state record. I think it's been broken since. She set many state records in pitching, went on to pitch at Southern Illinois, the Salukis. They went in the game. It was I don't know if it was the championship game, and I think it was her sophomore year against the Cobden Apple Knockers. Real high school name, Cobden Apple Knockers. And the game went 19 innings. It was 1-0. Cobden won, and I think Katie had 34 strikeouts in the game. And then one of the Ballman girls from Hardin Calhoun did 37 in a game. So that must have been was it the championship game that Princeville played in? And then there was a girl from, I think, Alton Marquette. And the Ballman who had 37 strikeouts, she went on to play at Kentucky. Katie went to SIU. A couple of the girls from Cobden went on to play at SIU. There was a girl from Alton Marquette who set some state records, and I can't remember where she went. No, I'm thinking maybe it wasn't Notre Dame. There was another girl who was a power hitter. She signed with like Auburn as an 8th grader. Another girl signed with Alabama, like out of 8th grade. Like there's some really talented softball player, and I got to see some really awesome games. At times I miss broadcasting the state finals, but it's just now like the travel, the time away, it's just not worth. And I'm so far removed now from everything high school sports. It's tough for me to know things on such short notice when, I don't follow the sport all season. Then all of a sudden I have a week to prepare. Cooter, what's going on? A beautiful spring day here. Looks like it's time to wake up the 66 from winter hibernation and take it to the LCS today. Hey, that's awesome. It is freaking cold. We had our second false spring last week. We got almost 2 inches of, maybe 1.5 inches of snow on Friday. Friday. It was like 14 or 15 degrees when I went to the show Saturday morning. And it's going to be almost 70 this week. And like a day later, the low is 18. So we're going to have a third false spring followed by winter again. And then we'll have a fourth false spring. It's like, it's not even March and we're going to have 3 false springs already. But hey, every like 60 or 70 degree day is a day that we don't have 20. And it's a day closer to when it's actually going to be warm straight on through. Merle says, I need to decide which type of cards to list today. I guess baseball makes the most sense. Yeah, I'm back to focusing on baseball. Baseball's really moving, and I'm starting to notice like trends of who is selling So I was picking, I dug through a couple bargain boxes yesterday and I was like, okay, I know what I'm selling these for. So if I buy these, maybe small margins, but I know they'll move. They're liquid. Max says $5 for anything at a rummage sale is expensive. LOL. That's a tag sale for you uncultured Easterners. Oh, yeah. I guess rummage sale is a Midwest thing, isn't it? Harlan's in the house. Good morning. Baseball card curmudgeon. What's going on? Ryan's here. What's up? I made a live. I don't get up earlier enough during the week. There you go. We sleep in on the weekends here. Flawed Thinker says, only problem I have with softball is that the field is so small. It's the same size as the one my kids play on, and they're 9 and 11. You would think they'd be hitting a lot of home runs, and usually they do. But high school softball is not really like for the most part, it's not like a power hitting. It's more of a finesse game. It's a small, like softball is more of a small ball. It's not. And remember, like they move the pitching, and it's not a mound. The pitching rubber, I guess. They moved it back. I think they moved it back from, was it 40 to 43 feet? And they moved that back. I think when Katie Bertelsen was she made good hitters look silly. So, I mean, you're pitching from, remember, in baseball, it's 60 feet, 6 inches. In softball, it's also a bigger ball, and it's 43 feet. So the ball is big. There you go. Pitching circle. Thank you, Max. Yeah. So it's a completely different game. Like, it doesn't matter how far the fence is. It's just when you're 43 feet away with a bigger ball, it's completely different. Max says high school softball is 10 times better to watch than high school baseball. Amen. 1,000 times. Amen. High school baseball is awful. Oh, high school baseball was, I think I enjoyed, and I know nothing about volleyball. I think I enjoyed broadcasting volleyball, a sport I know nothing about, more than I enjoyed broadcasting high school baseball. It's just terrible. And it lasts so long. And I'm talking high school baseball. I'm not talking about all-star, perfect game, the top talent in the nation. I'm talking just a regular high school baseball team. Some suck, some are great. And sometimes when they match up, it's just an awful game. And fortunately, they have run rules, so it's faster. Uncle Rich says, supposed to be 90 in DFW tomorrow and Tuesday before the cold front to knock the temperature back down to the 60s. Yes, it is. Oh, Dave Arnold, who's a high school baseball coach. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't watch high school baseball. I had to cover a lot of high school baseball back in the day. Back in my newspaper days. I'd have to interview Dave Arnold. Bo should replace Boog. Oh, God, no. Fancast Day at Marquee Network. Let's make that happen. Also, 7th inning conductor. I do 7th inning stretch, but I'm not doing baseball play-by-play. No, sirree. Joe Olivo. It's actually going back to this. Joe Olivo, what's going on? My dream as a broadcaster when I first started was I want to do play-by-play for the Chicago Cubs. And my very first high school baseball broadcast was for 92.5, whatever they were on the channel, in Rushville, WKXQ in Rushville. My first baseball play-by-play was the Rushville Industry Rockets. Actually, I don't even think Industry was part of them yet. I think it was the Rushville Rockets versus the Brown County Hornets. And by the 3rd inning, I had realized there's no way in hell I am going to reach my dream of broadcasting high school baseball. Not because of the talent, but because I don't want to put in the work of broadcasting this shitty baseball for who knows how many years to get to that point. Because even minor league baseball is awful. But I still enjoy, I like, again, when I go to minor league baseball games, I'm going to drink beer outside. That's what I do. And there happens to be a baseball game going on in front of me. I enjoy going to minor league games. I enjoy watching, like, okay, I want to see Kevin Alcantara. I want to see him in person, see how he hits. I want to see his mannerisms. But as far as 9 innings of baseball, I'm there for the beer. Where are we at? Joe, what's up? Cooter says there are garage sales in the South. We have garage sales here. We have garage sales. My sister calls them backyard sales. And I what? Why are you adding unnecessary words? Because nobody has a backyard sale in a backyard. They're usually in the front yard, driveway, or garage. I'm having a garage. So most people say garage sale, except for my sister adds unnecessary words and calls them backyard sales. We're going to backyard sales. What the fuck is a backyard sale? Sorry, sis. She doesn't watch this. Yeah, we call sometimes yard sales. We will call them yard sales. I think yard sales and garage sales here, at least where I grew up, are similar to kitty corner and catty corner, which in one of my group chats we talked about. Do you call it kitty corner or catty corner? And I think they were interchangeable growing up. Like half the people called it catty corner and half the people called it kitty corner. And I don't know what I would call it. I think I use it interchange, like route and route. Like I grew up right on Route 6. But if I'm getting my kicks on Route 66. And then there's probably others I call route and route, but I call them different things. It just depends on what I'm calling a route. I had a paper route as a kid. Route 66 might be the only time I use the word route, not involving plants. Chris says, when I covered high school softball, when I was a sports writer, I always thought that being a softball umpire was the worst job. Fans were terrible. Fans are terrible in every sport. And I think Dave Arnold, high school baseball coach, can attest to that. What's really sad is my alma mater, Anawan High School, go Braves, go Bravettes. My high school girls basketball team has been like a powerhouse the last 15 years. And the head coach, who's been there like 12, 13 of those years, he resigned. And he's young. I think he's a year older than me. So he's 41 or 42. And he's got 2 young kids. And so he resigned. They lost in the sectionals this year. And he resigned to be, just he's getting burned out. He's tired. And he's got kids. He wants to be a full-time dad, which is awesome. And in one of the newspaper articles talking about his career and his resigning from the position, he mentioned in 14 years of coaching, hasn't had a single parent issue. And I thought that was great. My first thought was, that's really awesome. And then my second realization was, that's really pathetic. That has to, not only does he mention that in an article, but I say, wow, that's impressive. Like, that's sad that's what the world's come to and high school sports has come to, that there's parent issues in every sport every year for the most part. Fortunately for Coach Burke, he didn't have any for 14 years. And then to note that in a newspaper article and then to be like, wow. Like, that's the thing I took out the most from his, his career in retrospect, was that he never had a parent issue. That's a pretty telling sign of shitty parents. Stop it. Stop being assholes. Max says, and I love baseball. Same here. I love baseball. But man, high school baseball, college baseball, even minor league baseball, kind of tough to watch. Max says it's by far his favorite sport, but man, after having a cousin play softball and watch her for 4 years in high school, it's not even close. More action during arts and crafts at the nursing home. Right. Softball's action-packed. It's fast. It's fun. Merle umps high school baseball. Don't want to do softball because I'd have to squat too far down to get to the top of the strike zone. That's a good point. Random question. How do you get the ESE labels to go on sticker paper? I normally print them on regular paper, cut and tape. I'm selling too much and wasting time doing that. Yes, you are. I unfortunately don't have an easy answer. It took me a while to figure it out. If you have a thermal label printer, if you don't have a thermal label printer, get a thermal label printer. I use the Brother QL 1100. I print 4x6 labels because I had a problem with 2x7 labels on the 800. And just to avoid that issue, I bought the 1100. So buy a thermal label printer if you haven't already. Then there's settings. It's a pain in the ass. And that's where my help has to stop because I don't know. There's settings, and there's not just your own printer settings. eBay printing settings. When you go to print the label, there's a setting somewhere that's what was holding me back. And somebody helped me through. It's like, oh my God, it took me a day to figure it out. Harlan feels the same about MLB. Cooter says baseball players minimize fast pitch softball until they are made to look like fools trying to hit a rising fastball. I mean, the rising fastball, yeah, or a curve that falls off the table, far different than in baseball. Yeah. And those are fun. Those, and I think a lot of baseball, if you're not privy to watching like if you're not a softball, like if you don't watch softball or never had kids that played softball, and you're not familiar with the game and you're a baseball person, like I can understand where you come from because it's a completely different game. But in softball, in my opinion, like in baseball, it's fun. Home runs are fun in baseball. I get more excited, like as a broadcaster, for those 1-0 games where it goes 19 innings and there's 34 strikeouts, because a 19-inning softball game is about 7 innings of baseball in length, in time. 17 to 11 softball games suck. Like softball is pitching, and 1-0 games are the best in softball. And there were most of the game, when you get to the level of the state championships, most of the time you're going to have low scoring games, because usually to get to the state finals, you have to have one of the best pitchers. And that's how you win games in softball. Power hitting typically, usually power pitching overmatches power hitting. And there were a couple power hitting teams that I saw in the state finals in the years that I did it. And it was fun. Home runs are fun. They're still fun. But in my opinion, not as fun as the 1-0, perfect games and no hitters and all that. Max says garage rummage yard here. Not tag though. No, I've never heard a tag sale. But it's kitty corner, not caddy corner. I never heard that until my 9 months in St. Louis and I was 24. Yeah, I've heard caddy, like and again, I think growing up it was a mix. I think half the people said caddy, half the people said kitty. Merle says, where would you be if you went kitty caddy corner? Right back where you started? Maybe. Or maybe you go caddy corner's over here. Another caddy corner from there would be straight ahead or straight over, I think. Cooter, absolutely. I believe the math works out where 65 plus from the circle is 90 plus from a mound. Yeah. I think the math is something like that. I can see old Route 66 from my front porch now. Dave says 31 years and plenty of parent issues here. Even when you were winning, there is always a travel ball parent with issues. Oh, the Gatorade gang. Where's mom with my Gatorade? I got to have my gloves and all my accessories. Stickers cost more than the thermal label deal. Yeah, so get a thermal label printer. Whoever was asking. Ryan was asking. Good morning, Sal Dougie. Max says, one of the only things I liked about my high school baseball coach was that at the start of the season, meeting with parents and players he said playing time discussion is only between players and coaches. And I love it. Absolutely. Yeah. Don't be taking calls from parents. Oh, why is Johnny not playing more? Tell Johnny to come see me. That's what I had for today. Hey, thanks for coming out. You made the Madison Card Show a lot of fun for me. We'll run it back in March. March 30th is the next Madison card show. We're going to see what demand is like for dealer tables. There was a lot of demand, even from people in that new ballroom. They're like, hey, I'll set up in here again. It'll be BYOT, bring your own table in that room. So we'll see what demand is like, and we'll run it back in March. So thanks again, Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan. I will have April, May, June. I know Max is in here, and probably some others either listening or watching on replay. I'll have April, May, June dates. I have tentative dates set, and I think I mentioned this the other day. April 20th, May 25th, and June 29th were dates available, but I don't want to announce anything officially until I get contracts signed, because I made the mistake of taking their word for it without a signed contract, and oops, we double booked. So April 20th, tentative for that April date. I should have the contracts this week, and I can print cards, so I'll have the cards with all the new dates. So hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Hit up my eBay store, 99centcards.com. Link in the description. I'll have some new inventory this week. Buy 7 or more cards at regular price, you'll save 25%. Sometimes I don't comp and you get great deals. So make sure you follow my store, hit the follow button. And you'll get reminded when new stuff comes in. You'll get my newsletter. I'll probably send another newsletter out. I think I sent one out for Top Series 1. I'll send one out when I list some new stuff. I think I'm going to list that vintage football that I found in the Goodwill pallet, the Bradshaw rookie, and there's a Gale Sayers and somebody else. I've got a Roki Sasaki purple refractor. I forgot about that Ricky Henderson rookie. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I thought about subbing it, and it's like, you know what? I don't want to deal with the hassle. So I'll just sell it raw. So I'll probably list that stuff in the store as well. So that's what I had for today. Hit the like, subscribe, visit my eBay store. Have a wonderful Sunday. We'll be back at it Monday through Friday this week, 7 a.m. Central. See you in the morning.